Welcome dear students to lecture 4 of module 4. In this lecture we learn about public key cryptosystem or asymmetric encryption and decryption. Asymmetric encryption is a form of cryptosystem in which encryption and decryption are performed using the different keys. One a public key and one a private key. It is also known as public key encryption. Asymmetric encryption transforms plain text into ciphertext using one of two keys and an encryption algorithm. Using the paired key and a decryption algorithm, the plain text is recorded from the ciphertext. The asymmetric encryption can be used for confidentiality authentication or both. The most widely used public key cryptosystem is RSA. The difficulty of attacking RSA is based on the difficulty of finding the prime factors of a composite number. So first let us learn the principles of public key crypto system. The concept of public key cryptography evolved from an attempt to attack two of the most difficult problems associated with symmetric encryption. The first problem is that of the key distribution. Key distribution under symmetric encryption requires either 1. That two communicants already shared a key which somehow has been distributed to them, or 2. The use of a key distribution center. The second problem was that of digital signatures. If the use of cryptography was to become widespread, not just in military situations but for commercial and private purposes, then electronic messages and documents would need the equivalent of signatures used in paper documents. That is, could a method be devised that would stipulate to the satisfaction of all parties that a digital message had been sent by a particular person? This is somewhat broader requirement than that of authentication, and its characteristics and ramifications are explored later on. Diffie and Hellman achieved an astounding breakthrough in 1976 by coming up with method that addressed both the problems and was radically different from all previous approaches to cryptography going back over 4 millennia. Now let us learn about the public key crypto systems. Asymmetric algorithms rely on one key for encryption and a different but related key for decryption. These algorithms have the following important characteristics. It is computationally infeasible to determine the decryption key given only the knowledge of the cryptographic algorithm and the encryption key. In addition, some algorithms such as RSA also exhibit the following characteristic. Either of the two related keys can be used for encryption with the other used for decryption. Public key encryption scheme has 6 ingredients as shown in this figure over here. The first one is the plain text. This is a readable message or data that is fed into the algorithm as input. Next is the encryption algorithm. For example, here it is considered as RSA. There are different encryption algorithms. The encryption algorithm performs various transformations on the plain text. Next, we have public and private keys, as you can see over here. This is a pair of keys that have been selected so that if one is used for encryption, the other is used for decryption. The exact transformations performed by the algorithms depend on the public or private key that is provided as an input. Next is the ciphertext. This is a scrambled message produced as output. It depends on the plain text and the key. For a given message, two different keys will produce two different ciphertexts. So here you have the plain text, then we have the encryption algorithm. Here you can either use a public key or a private key to do the encryption and we get the ciphertext. Next we have decryption algorithm that is observed here. This algorithm accepts the ciphertext and the matching keys and produces the original plain text. The steps used here are: each user generates a pair of keys to be used for encryption and decryption of the message. Now each user places one of the two keys in a public register or other accessible file. This is the public key. The companion key is kept private. As in figure shown here, suggests each user maintains a collection of public keys obtained from others. You can observe here, this is a public key ring. Now in case if Bob wishes to send a confidential message to Alice, Bob encrypts a message using Alice's public key. So this is the Alice's public key. When Alice receives the message, she decrypts it using her private key. No other recipient can decrypt the message because only Alice knows Alice's private key. With this approach, all participants have access to public keys and private keys are generated locally by each participant and therefore need never be distributed. As long as a user's private key remains protected and secret, incoming communication is secure. At any time, a system can change its private key and publish the companion public key to replace its old public key. Now, in this case, Bob wants to send a message to Alice. What Bob does is he encrypts the message using his private key and the ciphertext is transmitted to Alice. Now, for decryption, since it is a public key crypto system, the key will contain key has a private key and a public key. Now, since Bob has used a private key to encrypt the message, the decryption process has to be done using Bob's public key. So, the Alice will use Bob's public key and decrypt the message and read the whatever message has been sent to her by Bob. This is another way of encryption using the private key. Now let us see the differences between the conventional encryption and public key encryption. Conventional encryption is nothing but symmetric key encryption and public key encryption is asymmetric encryption. So what is needed in conventional encryption? Here the same algorithm with the same key is used for encryption and decryption. The sender and receiver must share the algorithm and the key. And what is needed for security? The key must be kept a secret. It must be impossible or at least impractical to decipher a message if the key is kept a secret. Knowledge of the algorithm plus samples of ciphertext must be insufficient to determine the key. In case, because here it is only one key, so the key distribution method has to be very much secure. Otherwise, a cryptanalyst can decrypt the message. Coming to the public key encryption, what is needed here? One algorithm is used for encryption and a related algorithm for decryption with a pair of keys, one for encryption and one for decryption. In case you use a private key for encryption, then we need to use public key for decryption. In case public key is used for encryption, then the private key is needed for decryption purpose. The sender and receiver must each have one of the matched pair of keys. Okay, it matched like a private key of Bob and the public key of Bob should be there in that key ring. If it is private key of Bob and private key and public key of Alice, then the decryption is not possible. What is needed for security? One of the two keys must be kept secret. It must be impossible or at least impractical to decipher a message if one of the keys is kept secret. Knowledge of the algorithm plus one of the keys plus samples of ciphertext must be insufficient to determine the other key. Let us take a closer look at the essential elements of a public key encryption scheme. Here you can observe that source is A and the destination is B. So source A has a message source and the message input here is X to the encryption algorithm. This message is intended for destination B. Now B generates a related pair of keys, that is PUB, which is a public key, and PRB, which is a private key. Public key is known to accessible by all, whereas a private key is known to only B. Now with the message X and the encryption algorithm using the public key, so A will encrypt the message and that message is Y, which is sent to the destination B. Now this message is supposed to be sent or viewed only by B. So B has a private key PRB. Using this private key destination at the destination B, he or she can decrypt this message and read the intended message. Now in case this is an adversary who is observing the message exchange between a source A and destination B. So what he will do, he has access only to the public key and but he does not have access to the private key. Now he must attempt to recover X, that is this plain text, or the private key PRB, which he does not know. So it is assumed that now adversary does not have knowledge of what encryption algorithm is used or what decryption algorithm is used. If adversary is interested only in this particular message, now only one message if he is interested in, then the focus of effort is to recover X, to recover only this message by generating a plain text estimate X bar here. Often, however, the adversary is interested in being able to read even the future messages, then he has to attempt to recover the private key also. So again he will try some different combinations and an estimate he will get for the private key. Now we know that in this two keys, that is one is private key and public key, one key is used for encryption and other key is used for decryption. So in this particular system we can have confidentiality. Here in this particular case, source A has to send a message to destination B. What A does is he or she encrypts the message using the private key. So this private key is only known to A. So and it is sent to B. So at the B destination end, B uses the public key of A and decrypts the message. So in this case, authentication is provided in why in the sense private key is known only to A. So the message is sent by A cannot be altered or any other changes or modifications cannot be done as private key is known only to A. So the adversary cannot do any changes over here. So we can guarantee authentication in this particular case. In the previous case what we have seen there we could ensure only confidentiality as we have used the source A has used the public key of the B and encrypted the message. So anybody can alter the message and send. So that possibility is there. In this case, that is avoided here. To ensure authentication and secrecy both together, we have to adapt this particular scheme. So in this scheme, source A has to send a message to receiver B. So what the sender A does is he or she first encrypts the message using a private key. So this acts like a digital signature, that is it is authentic. Nobody else can do any changes in the message sent, as the private key is only known to sender A. Next, this encrypted message is again encrypted using the public key of the receiver B. Now, then this is again using the encryption algorithm. Again, this message is encrypted and sent to the receiver. At the receiving end, first the receiver B has to decrypt this encrypted message using the private key. So this ensures confidentiality because private key is known only to the receiver B, whereas only the public key is accessible by all. So we can ensure secrecy over here. Then the decryption algorithm has to be used, and it has to be decrypted using the public key of A. Then the receiver B will receive the actual message what is sent by A to B. So in this case we can ensure both authentication and secrecy. But the disadvantage of this approach is that the public key algorithm, which is complex, must be exercised 4 times rather than 2 in each communication. Depending on the application, the sender uses either the sender's private key or the receiver's public key or both to perform some type of cryptographic function. We can classify the use of public key crypto system into 3 categories. Encryption or decryption. The sender encrypts a message with the recipient's public key. Next is a digital signature. The sender signs a message with its private key. Signing is achieved by a cryptographic algorithm applied to the message or to a small block of data that is a function of the message. Next one is a key exchange. Two sides cooperate to exchange a session key. Several different approaches are possible involving the private key of one or both parties. Some algorithms are suitable for all 3 applications, whereas others can be used only for 1 or 2 of these applications. Requirements for public key cryptography. It is computationally easy for a party B to generate a pair, that is, a pair consists of a public key and a private key PRB. It is computationally easy for a sender A, knowing the public key and the message to be encrypted, M, to generate the corresponding ciphertext. That is, a ciphertext is generated by using an encryption algorithm, which is encrypted using a public key PUB, and M is the plain text. It is computationally easy for the receiver B to decrypt the resulting ciphertext using the private key to recover the original message. That is, a decryption algorithm is used. Since we have encrypted using the public key, decryption has to be done using the private key, where C is the ciphertext. How is the ciphertext obtained? Ciphertext is obtained by using the encryption algorithm, encrypting it using the public key of B. Okay, this M is a plain text. It is computationally infeasible for an adversary knowing the public key PUB to determine the private key PRB. PRB is only known to the sender B. So adversary cannot, public key is publicly available, so that is known to all, but the private key is very difficult to generate by an adversary. It is computationally infeasible for an adversary knowing the public key PUB and a ciphertext C to recover the original message M. Original message M can be got or known only if the private key is known. So it is highly infeasible to know the private key. So therefore recovering the original message is also very difficult. Next we'll see about public key cryptanalysis. As with symmetric encryption, a public key encryption scheme is also vulnerable to a brute force attack. The countermeasure is the same, use large keys. However, There is a trade-off to be considered. Public key systems depend on the use of some sort of invertible mathematical function. The complexity of calculating these functions may not scale linearly with the number of bits in the key, but grow more rapidly than that. Thus, the key size must be large enough to make brute force attack impractical, but small enough for practical encryption and decryption. In practice, the key sizes that have been proposed do make brute force attack impractical, but result in encryption or decryption speeds that are too slow for general purpose use. Instead, as we mentioned earlier, public key encryption is currently confined to key management and signature applications. Another form of attack is to find some way to compute the private key given the public key. Till date, it has not been mathematically proven that this form of attack is infeasible for a particular public key algorithm. Thus, any given algorithm, including the widely used RSA algorithm, is suspect. The history of cryptanalysis shows that a problem that seems insoluble from one perspective can be found to have a solution if looked at in an entirely different way. Finally, there is a form of attack that is peculiar to public key system. This is, in essence, a probable message attack. Suppose, for example, that a message were to be sent that consists solely of a 56-bit DES key. An adversary could encrypt all possible 56-bit DES keys using the public key and could discover the encrypted key by matching the transmitted ciphertext. Thus, no matter how large the key size of the public key scheme, the attack is reduced to a brute force attack on a 56-bit key. This attack can be thwarted by appending some random bits to such simple messages. The next lecture we learn about RSA algorithm. Thank you, dear students.